Lesson 6, Part 2, the plurals of verbs. As we've also seen, verbs have many forms in Greek. We've already learned the forms for the first person singular, second person singular, and third person singular in the present active indicative. Now we will learn the three forms for the plural. To form them, start with the present active indicative, first person singular form, remove the O, and add the ending you need. This chart is the way we are going to see our verbs from now on, so get used to the form. First person singular O, second person singular ace, third person singular A. First person plural amen, second person plural ete, third person plural usi. So if we put that on a full verb here, we have blepo, blepes, blepe, blepamen, blepete, blepusi. And that's not supposed to be a breathing there. That's supposed to be an accent mark. So we see the amen ending, the ete ending, and the usi ending. So if we're going to translate, that would be I am seeing, you are seeing, he is seeing, we are seeing, ye are seeing, they are seeing. And for now, we're going to use ye as the subject if it's second person plural. This will help us to tell the difference between second person singular and second person plural. Now, normally in English, we don't make a big distinction here. We normally would say you are seeing or you are seeing. Now, there are a few ways in English that we can sort of make this distinction over here that we have a second person plural. Some parts of the country will say y'all. Some parts of the country will say you guys. Some parts of the country will say youins. There are some various ways that we can sort of indicate that we have a plural. This is actually an old English form to use ye. Since it's so similar, we're going to go ahead and use that one, especially when we're parsing or when we're translating, just so we can sort of have in our mind that it's slightly different from this sort of singular you over here. If we wanted to use an old English form for the singular you, it would actually be thee or thou. But since that one is a little bit further away from the way our minds thinks about you, we're going to use you for the second person singular, and we'll use ye for the second person plural. Now, we're only going to make this distinction for subjects. Later, when we learn you as a direct object or as other things like that, we're not going to really worry about the distinction, but we are going to make this distinction for the subject. Now, the verb me. The verb me is special and does not follow the rules. It is irregular. Irregular words are words that don't follow the patterns that other words do. So here is a me. We have a me, a, sd, esmen, este, ac. Now, take a quick second and look at the breathing marks here. You'll notice that there's a smooth breathing at the beginning of each of these words. But the ones that begin with a diphthong, the breathing goes on the second letter. That's because a breathing on a diphthong, and technically an accent on a diphthong as well, always goes on the second letter of the diphthong. That actually gives you a clue that the sound at the beginning is a diphthong, not two separate letters. So we have ame, a, st, esmen, este, ac. Now notice the diphthong a shows up in the first singular and second singular and in the third plural. That's really weird, and it's something that makes it sort of tricky to try to remember, but you've got these two over here and then this one over here. Then your third singular and your first plural and your second plural all start with an epsilon. Now, something else that's really tricky is here we have a me with a me ending. Then we have just plain a. Then over here we have a c. You'll see the sigma shows up in these four positions over here. So sort of make a mental note of that. There's no way of remembering this T or this C here. So if you got SD and AC, those are just tricky and weird and strange. But men and te, we've seen an amen ending here and an ete ending here. So these are fairly close to what we know for our regular present active indicative verbs, this men and this te, but notice it's not es amen and it's not es ete, it's esmen and este. So it's a little bit shorter of an ending, but that might help us remember it. Meanings for this are I am, you are, he is, we are, ye are, they are. And again, we're going to use the ye right there. Now notice this verb is sort of weird. We have is for the third person singular, but you'll probably do that sort of naturally. And we also have am for the first person singular, a little bit weird. The are and the are and the are and the are all match up there, but the am is a little bit unusual. But if you speak English as your first language, that shouldn't give you any trouble. Summary: memorize the new endings and the forms of Amy. Further explanation. We have already learned that technically blep means see and o means I am blanking. So blepo means I am seeing. Consider these examples. Ginosko, I am knowing. Present active indicative first singular. Ginosk ace, you are knowing. Present active indicative second singular. Ginosk a, he is knowing. Present active indicative third singular. Ginoskamen, we are knowing. Present active indicative first singular. Ginosk ete, ye are knowing. Present active indicative second plural. Ginosk usi, they are knowing. Present active indicative third singular.